Long ago there was a goddess of prosperity who possessed unlimited resources of food and gold. Upon the creation of the universe, she gave birth to 160 million gods and goddesses. Her first child, Huster, was her favorite, but he was incredibly greedy. Over time, Huster began to steal all of his mother's gold and succeeded in his theft. Then he tried to steal her food, but his siblings intervened and attacked him, and with each blow, Huster shattered into fragments. On the brink of complete destruction, the goddess of prosperity saved him on one condition. The condition was that he would never be worshipped, and his name would be erased from all written records in history. His siblings also placed a curse on him that prevented him from touching raw grains, leaving him with unending hunger for food. For millennia, Huster slept within his mother's womb, but one day a group of people began to worship him and built a shrine in his name, hoping to gain the gold he had stolen. These actions angered all the gods and goddesses, so their wrath began to rain upon a small village called Tumbbad, where Huster was worshipped. Now it is the year 1918. One woman regularly visits an elderly man named Sarkar, who lives alone in his mansion. Sarkar had promised the woman a gold coin if she took good care of him, so she would come daily to offer him companionship, which included sexual intimacy. Turns out it was Sarkar's forefathers who worshipped Huster, and they did manage to find the gold, but the location of the gold remained a mystery along with their deaths. The woman also had two sons with Sarkar, the elder named Vinayak, and the younger named Sadashiv. Because she is only his mistress, the woman and her sons live separately from Sarkar. The brothers always wait for their mother to return home, but this time she is late. They begin to worry about who will feed the old woman who lives with them. This old woman is actually Sarkar's great-great-grandmother, who has been alive for more than 200 years because of some curse. The cursed grandmother is always hungry, so they fear what will happen if she wakes up without food. After waiting for their mother, Vinayak and Sadashiv decide to go inside the house. Vinayak then prepares rice and soup and orders his younger brother Sadashiv to serve it to the grandmother. Scared, Sadashiv slowly approaches the grandmother's room, but their mother arrives and stops him. She is upset with Vinayak because he tried to force his younger brother to go inside the cursed grandmother's room. Then the woman again prepares the food and serves it to the grandmother. She is also responsible for taking care of her, so she does all the grooming while she is asleep. Then one day Sarkar dies due to his old age. The woman now decides to leave the village, so she tells her sons that tomorrow they will leave at dawn and head to a city called Pune. And since Sarkar is dead, they no longer need to care for his great-great-grandmother, so they plan to leave her behind. The brothers are excited to live in the city, and they start talking about things like big buildings and motor cars, which they have never seen before in their life. But a tree branch on which Sadashiv is sitting suddenly breaks, and he seriously injures his head from the fall. The woman rushes to take Sadashiv to a local healer, and she tells Vinayak that he will have to feed the grandmother tonight. She also instructs him to say a magic spell if the grandmother starts causing problems, and the magic spell is, "Go to sleep, otherwise Huster will come." Vinayak is scared all alone in the house, and he now remembers that he will have to cook food for the grandmother. He begins searching for the rice, but mistakenly takes down the container that was filled with flour. Now he suddenly hears grandmother singing from her room, so he slowly walks toward her room, and the grandmother tries to convince him to open the door. Scared, Vinayak tries to run away, but the grandmother says that she knows about the treasure. Now the greed starts to take over Vinayak, so he opens the door. The grandmother is chained and she complains about her situation. She reveals that her family locked her jaw with sharp nails because she is always hungry for the food. Vinayak keeps asking for the treasure's location, and the grandmother promises to tell him everything if he gives her something to eat. So Vinayak starts to prepare food, but the grandmother sneaks up behind him and chains his leg. She then starts to drag him to her room, and she is excited, because it is her chance to eat some meat after a very long time. Vinayak tries to say the magic spell, but he keeps forgetting Huster's name. Now the grandmother grabs Vinayak's head and takes out the nails from her jaw. As she is about to eat him alive, Vinayak remembers the correct name and screams Huster. The grandmother gets scared and backs away after hearing that word. Vinayak then says, "Grandmother, go to sleep, otherwise Huster will come." Hearing the spell, the grandmother goes to sleep, and Vinayak's mother arrives home alone. She starts crying and tells Vinayak that his younger brother Sadashiv did not make it. The next morning, after cremating Sadashiv, they board a small boat to leave the village. Vinayak keeps telling his mother that the grandmother knows the treasure's location, and they can torture her to force the information out of her. To silence him, his mother gives him 1 gold coin, which she had stolen from Sarkar's mansion. But Vinayak thinks that his mother deserves more than a single coin, so he insists they should go back for the entire gold. The woman realizes her son is full of greed, just like his father Sarkar, so she makes him promise on her life that he will never return to the village of Tumbbad again. 15 years later, after the death of his mother, Vinayak returns to Tumbbad village. He is now young and energetic, and he still wants to find the treasure. Vinayak then goes to his old house, which has now been overgrown with tree roots and branches. He immediately goes to the grandmother's room and finds a human heart embedded with the tree's branches. That heart is still beating, and he discovers that it belongs to his grandmother. A tree has grown from her body, and she is still alive even after all these years without eating any food. Vinayak wakes his grandmother and asks about the treasure's location. At first the grandmother refuses, but after enduring so many painful years she wants to be free, so she makes a deal with Vinayak. She asks him to burn her, and in exchange she will reveal everything about the treasure. She reveals that if Huster touches someone they will become immortal, but the cost of it is a painful life filled with unending hunger for food, and the only way to be free from this curse is to be burned alive. This means that in the past the grandmother used to retrieve the gold from Huster, but one day Huster touched her and gave her the curse of immortality. Grandmother then explains every process to get the treasure, and she still suggests Vinayak to stop looking for it. But filled with greed, Vinayak spends months making his way to the treasure, and finally he finds it. He then returns to his grandmother and asks if she really wants to die. The grandmother affirms her desire to be free from Huster's curse, so Vinayak lights his old house on fire along with his grandmother. Then he retrieves the gold and goes back to his house in the city of Pune. Since Vinayak had been missing for a few months, his wife, Vadahi, had started a small hand-mill flour grinding business to survive. Vinayak dislikes his wife doing such low-class work, but he overlooks it and tells her they will be rich now. Then the next day he goes to meet his money lender, Raghav. It is the year 1933 and currently the British are ruling over the country. Raghav tells Vinayak that he has been saving money for an opium permit, and he has been in contact with one British officer named Sergeant Cooper for this matter. Vinayak owes Raghav 38 rupees, so he gives him 1 gold coin, which has a market value of 100 rupees. Vinayak now clears his debt and takes the remaining 62 rupees in cash. Then he tells Raghav that he still has 3 gold coins to exchange. Hearing this, Raghav is bewildered and asks Vinayak how he got the gold coins. Vinayak just remains calm and says it is his ancestral property. Vinayak now constantly travels to Tumbbad village to retrieve more gold coins, which he then gives to Raghav in exchange for cash. One day Vinayak brings so many gold coins that Raghav is unable to pay him back, so from that point on, Vinayak becomes Raghav's creditor. Then one day Sergeant Cooper informs Raghav that he is likely getting promoted and might get transferred within a month. So he advises Raghav to quickly arrange the money for an opium permit, because once he is gone, there will be no one to link him up with the superintendent officer. Hearing this, Raghav goes to meet Vinayak and tells him that he wants to be his business partner, but Vinayak doesn't show any interest. As days go by, Vinayak becomes richer and richer, and he begins buying luxury items like a vinyl record player and a motorbike. He also begins to drink and smoke and starts going to brothels to enjoy his time with different women. Soon after, Vinayak's wife, Vadahi, gives birth to a son named Pandurang, who has a slightly deformed leg. Then one day, Sergeant Cooper informs Raghav that his promotion has been confirmed, and soon he will be transferred. Desperate for the opium permit, Raghav decides to travel to Tumbbad himself to find the gold. To keep Vinayak from interfering, Raghav sells Vinayak an attractive widowed woman for 800 rupees, in a pretense to clear his debt. Vadahi questions Vinayak about the woman, and he tells her she will be their new housemaid. Raghav's plan initially works. Vinayak starts to enjoy his time with the widowed woman, but she takes 100 rupees from Vinayak and reveals that Raghav had paid her 50 rupees to distract him while he could go to Tumbbad by himself to find the gold coins. Hearing this, Vinayak immediately goes to Tumbbad and sees Raghav inside the mansion. Vinayak pretends not to notice him, and he intentionally leads Raghav to one well. Vinayak then puts some items inside one metal box and goes down into the well. Raghav secretly watches his every move, and he is stunned to see Vinayak coming out from the well with the gold coins. After Vinayak leaves, Raghav goes down into the well and finds one stone tomb, engraved with the goddess of prosperity. Raghav then opens that tomb and he sees a deep hole. He decides to go inside, and that place is actually the womb of the goddess of prosperity. The entire surrounding feels like a human flesh, and they move as if they are breathing on their own. Raghav then notices the metal box that Vinayak had left. He slowly opens it and finds a doll made of flour. He is puzzled and starts checking out that doll, then suddenly one creature lunges at him. After some time, Vinayak returns and he sees that Raghav has merged into the wall. Raghav's body has been disfigured just like Vinayak's grandmother's, and it turns out the creature that attacked Raghav was Huster. Since Huster had touched him, he has now become immortal, but he is in lots of pain. So Vinayak says the magic spell and puts Raghav to sleep. Vinayak now draws a protective circle of flour around himself, and he has brought another metal box with him. As soon as he takes out the flour dough doll, Huster senses it and emerges from the walls, because Huster is eternally hungry for the food. Maddened by hunger, Huster wants to eat the doll, but he cannot cross the flour circle. Huster is unable to go inside the circle because he was cursed by his siblings, which forbids him from touching raw grains. Now Vinayak starts teasing Huster with the doll, and in anger, Huster rips out Raghav's arm and breaks it. Vinayak is horrified to see such a scene, and he immediately throws the doll into one corner. Huster quickly grabs that doll and starts eating it. Huster is able to touch that doll because it was made from finished dough, not a raw grain. It is a loophole of the curse that Vinayak's ancestors had discovered. While Huster is busy eating the doll, Vinayak quickly opens the loincloth on Huster's waist, and a cascade of gold coins falls out. Vinayak picks up as many coins as he can, and as he starts to climb out from there, he hears Raghav screaming in agony. He throws his lantern at Raghav, burning him alive and freeing him from Huster's curse. Vinayak then quickly begins to climb out, but Huster starts chasing him after eating the flour dough doll. Vinayak manages to get out from the goddess's womb just in time and closes the tomb cover. So this is how Vinayak steals gold coins from Huster. Then one day, Vadahi finds out about her husband's affair with the widowed woman and throws her out of the house. Now, 14 years later, it is 1947. Vinayak has grown old, and he now struggles even to climb the rope. He now has twin daughters, and he is making his son practice to climb the rope and steal the coins from Huster. Just like his father, Pandurang is also greedy for money, and even though his one leg is a bit deformed, he is quickly making progress in climbing the rope. Vinayak had also brought the widowed woman back to his house, and she has now become his concubine. One evening, seeing his son's progress, Vinayak decides to take him to Tumbbad. He asks his wife to tell Pandurang that he will be taking him to Tumbbad the next day. When Pandurang hears this, he becomes excited and asks his mother about Tumbbad's secret, but she says she doesn't know anything about it either. The next day, on the way to Tumbbad, Vinayak reveals the history of Huster to his son. So Pandurang is excited and nervous at the same time. After reaching the mansion, Vinayak teaches his son how to make the flour dough doll, but he throws away that doll because he has brought his son only for practice this time. They then go inside the goddess's womb, and Vinayak teaches his son every step to steal the coin. As they are about to leave, Pandurang reveals that he has brought the doll with him. Sensing the doll, Huster emerges from the wall, and seeing Huster, Pandurang gets scared and falls outside the protective ring of flour, so Vinayak quickly grabs him and brings inside the circle. Huster then gets busy eating the doll that Pandurang had dropped, so Vinayak quickly prepares the rope to climb out from there. But Pandurang steps out from the circle and steals the gold coins from Huster's loincloth. Then, just in time, Vinayak and Pandurang manage to escape from the womb, and Pandurang proudly shows his father the gold coins. But Vinayak is angry and starts beating him because it could have gone horribly wrong. Pandurang keeps apologizing, and after some time Vinayak calms down. Then on the way back home, Vinayak lets his son keep one gold coin. After arriving home, Vadahi asks her son about the secret of Tumbbad, but he refuses to speak about it. Vadahi gets upset, but Pandurang manages to convince her by giving her a piece of chocolate, as it was his first earning. Now the country has won its independence from British rule. Then one local official informs Vinayak that the Tumbbad mansion has been donated to the government, and it will be sealed within a few weeks. Hearing this, Vinayak is displeased, but he is not overly worried. He then explains the mansion's situation to his son, and also reveals a hidden stash of money and gold, which is enough to support them for the rest of their lives. Despite being young, Pandurang is also fond of women, so he offers his father's concubine the gold coin, hoping to win her heart. The concubine takes the coin, but she tells everything to Vinayak. Vinayak is now totally pissed and starts beating his son. In anger, Vinayak begins to strangle him. Desperate, Pandurang suggests that instead of stealing 1 or 2 coins, they should steal Huster's entire loincloth, and to keep Huster distracted, he suggests that they should make lots of flour dough dolls, so that when Huster finishes eating one doll, they will throw another and so on. Hearing this, Vinayak's anger turns to admiration for his son's brilliant idea. With the mansion set to be sealed in a few weeks, this is the perfect plan for their final heist. Vinayak then tells his son to wait for a few years, and then he will arrange his marriage. But Pandurang still wants to have fun until then, so the next day Vinayak takes his son to the brothel, and Pandurang starts having fun with different women. It takes them a few days to gather enough flour, and after that they go to Tumbbad. Vinayak makes lots of flour dough dolls, and this time they make the protective circle around the well and tomb. Now they go inside the goddess's womb, and Vinayak takes out 2 flour dolls. But this time, instead of 1, 2 Husters show up, and seeing this, Vinayak realizes that the more dolls they bring out, the more Husters will appear. The reason behind this is that Huster was shattered into fragments when his siblings attacked him, so every fragments of Huster are hungry for the food. Vinayak then immediately asks his son to stop taking out the dolls, but in a panic all the flour dolls fall out from the bag, and now they are surrounded by lots of hungry Husters. Pandurang throws out some dolls, and Husters begin to fight with each other. They are snatching and eating the doll at the same time, so they are finishing it in just a few seconds. Vinayak now knows that they are trapped inside the womb, and then suddenly one Huster throws another Huster towards the protective circle. Vinayak grabs his son and tries to protect him, but the moment Huster crosses the protective line, it disintegrates into dust. Pandurang now loses his consciousness, and the lantern light also extinguishes from the disintegrated dust of Huster. Alone in the dark, Vinayak lights a match, and he sees Husters waiting for them. Now he comes up with a plan to save his son. He ties all the remaining dolls around his body and gets ready to climb out. Pandurang wakes up and tries to stop his father, but Vinayak kicks him away and begins climbing out. Pandurang then sees Husters chasing his father, and as all Husters cross the tomb's protective circle, they disintegrate into dust. Pandurang cries from the loss of his father, and after some time he gets out from the womb. As he crawls out from the well, he sees that his father is still alive, but he has already been cursed from Huster's touch. The cursed Vinayak had managed to steal Huster's loincloth, and he tries to give it to his son. But Pandurang now realizes that greed is not a good thing, and because of this greed, he lost his father today. So Pandurang refuses to take it, and to free his father from the curse, he throws the lantern at him to burn him alive. Seeing his son's greed has vanished, the cursed Vinayak is relieved, and he is ready to die in peace. Pandurang then says, "Father, go to sleep, otherwise Huster will come." Then the cursed Vinayak goes to sleep, and Pandurang gets out from the mansion leaving behind his greed, and the movie ends. So this was the movie Tumbbad. It is an Indian folk horror movie that was released in 2018. This movie tries to teach us that greediness will always lead to self-destruction. First, it was Huster, the god himself, who got banished due to his greed for his own mother's food and gold. Then there's Vinayak's mother, who lost her younger son due to her greed for only one single gold coin. And then there's Vinayak, who got the Huster's painful curse due to his greed for more gold coins. And finally, there is Pandurang, who lost his father due to his greed to steal the entire source of gold. Comment down your thoughts below, and remember to subscribe to the channel for more movie breaks.